Hello. So over the last couple of weeks, I've been getting a few small questions about how I make small, tiny changes to our product directly myself. And I thought, why not record a small video where I walk through how to make a small fix to the CSS on our repository page, so that everyone can see the entire process of getting a Git pod instance up and finding the place for where to make the change and then applying the fix. So let me start off showing where we need to fix something. You can see here we have these two buttons too close to each other. Usually there should be a space between them. And so why is there none here? While I figure that out, I already go back to the GitLab repository because that's where I will need to make the change. I start a new Git pod workspace and we have the pre-build happening. So let's actually skip that because I don't know exactly how long it will be. And this will be a more specific time if I skip it, because it will go through all the steps. So it might take longer, but at least I know how long it's going to take. While this is happening, let's see why there is a space between these buttons, but not between these buttons. So going through the list, this is the button we're looking at. It seems like each of the other buttons has a margin to the left, except for this one. So now we need to figure out why it doesn't have a margin to the left. And if I look at the computed properties, we can see on the left side, or we can see further down scrolling here, it says margin left 0 pixel. And it's coming from the CSS class MLSM0, which we can see here. All the other ones have a margin to the left because of the GL children MLSM3, which is applied to the div that surrounds all of these buttons. So that means we will need to A, figure out why there is a MLSM0 class here. I hope there will be a comment somewhere in the area of the code where it is added. And if not, we're going to remove it and see what happens. So let's jump back into the Git pod workspace, and I'm going to pause here until the Git pod workspace has been created. So what we now see happening here is the Git pod UI has been loaded. And what's very important is we need to wait for all of the terminal output to finish. We will get a couple of notifications here on the right side. It says the GitLab workflow extension is recommended for this repository. We don't need to install it. I don't want to open it locally. I could in VS Code Desktop, but I decided not to do so. I want to keep working in the browser. And so while all of this is still loading, I can already try to figure out where the exact code is coming from. And what I'm going to do right now is just see if I can find any of the either CSS classes or some other IDs in the code base. So let me actually copy this exact CSS class from here and see if we can find it anywhere in our code base. Oh, it seems like this is actually already it. So this seems to be the only time the MLSM0 class is being added to any element in our entire code base. And this seems to be the history button. So I don't know why this one was added here. So what I'm going to do while all of the terminal output is coming through is going into the page app assets JavaScript repository index.js. and see if I can find out by looking at who committed this line why they did this. App assets, JavaScript, repository, index.js, and I think it was line 147 exactly. So I'm going on blame, line 147, make project header section responsive. Interesting. So that means we might have to be careful with responsiveness. Let's see how that actually works. If I go back, open a folder, it's probably let's see. So what happens when I remove that class? Let me do this. This looks correct. So I'm pretty sure it's supposed to prevent this from happening, but I'm not sure why it was added to the history button and not the log button. So can't see any difference between folder and file. So what I'm going to do is actually just make the change and then ping Kushal, who made the original change, to make sure he's aware and can give us feedback in case we're going to break something that we don't intend to break. So while the terminal is still running, I can already create an issue. Log and history buttons for folders don't have margin between them. Let me take our usual bug aspect, summary, the log and history buttons are stuck to each other. Let's add the screenshots I usually do before and after. So let's reload it to make sure we can grab the screenshot. And after we make the change, I'm going to pretend I've already made the change. This is what it's going to look like. So let's see if I copy pasted everything correctly. Before, after, yes, wonderful. Steps to reproduce. That's very simple. I'm going to remove most of the pieces here because that should be all the information we really need. Going to add a few labels. It's UX, it's UI polish, it's source code. Do we have source code? Yep, we do. Section dev, DevOps create, It's just front end. Do we need anything else? We have type bug. We have severity 4. Wonderful. This should be it. I'm going to assign it to myself. Create the issue. And then directly afterwards, create the merge request. So that when this is all loaded, we can directly grab the right branch. So let me also fill in the right information here. I'm going to mark it as ready. Going to copy over the pictures from the table I've just created. Copy image. Before, after. There's nothing needed to set it up and validate it. Gonna squash the commits. So this means we should be good here. I'm actually gonna change this from before and after to problem to how it should look. Let's see. Wonderful. And it means we are now seeing waiting for GitLab at this URL. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open it. We're going to see the expected 502 error. And because I can see this loading more than the usual loading time, I know now that the next time it refreshes, it will show the login screen. Also, we have the simple browser popping up here, which shows that it's close to being finished. On Chrome, I think you can see the entire UI in here. In Firefox, it sadly doesn't work anymore. So I just always open it in a new tab. You can also do that from here, or you can just copy paste this URL, or you can hit Command and then click on it. That will also allow you to open it in a new tab. So we just need to wait a few more seconds for this. And here we go. Sign up page. Let's reload the page until we can actually use it. So I'm going to paste in, or I'm going to type in the current password, create a new one, so that afterwards I can log in. And now I go to a random repository, just to confirm that we still have the problem in the folders. So we don't have a log here because I'm probably not the author or maintainer of this. Or we have some other reason why we don't see log in here. Let's see if one of the other projects actually shows that button. Otherwise, I won't be able to confirm it as easily as I would hope. Okay, it seems like because of some combination of reasons, I'm not going to be able to see the same log button I would be seeing on gitlab.com. I don't know what I need to change to be able to see that. Let's see if I can create a new project. And I'm gonna create one from template. I am. Let's hope this has folders inside. Gonna make it public. I just want to try to somehow get the log button to show up, because otherwise we won't be, well, we could actually just check the CSS class to make sure that it has a left margin. So let's see, static. Doesn't have the log button, but it has the MLSM0 class, so that we can see it won't have a left margin. What I'm going to do now is go in here, remove the class, save it, reload the page, and I don't exactly know why this wouldn't be a larger problem for responsive. I think it might have been done for this, but then we need to figure out a different pattern to make this happen, because even on here, if I make this responsive, like we still need to remove the margin here, and probably here as well. So we need to figure out a different way the code works to actually get to the expected behavior. So what I'm going to do now is just commit the change as it was made. Remove, no, add margin left to history button. I'm gonna not commit because I just noticed that we are on the master branch. So what I'm gonna do is figure out what's the branch that I should be taking, this one. Let's see if I already have this here. Yep, I can easily switch to that branch. I probably need to, I don't. I can now commit the change here. And now I'm going to do Git Push. Don't know why this tooltip is now in front of me, but it seems like it's working. Which I'm going to check as soon as it's completely done. Seems like it's the case now. I'm gonna reload the page. And we can see one change, which matches up with what we are hoping to have happen here. So what I'm gonna do now is add mention Kushal. And tell him why I did this. I'm gonna copy over his comment. I'm gonna copy over the line from his comment based on the I can actually take this one. Oh no, let's actually figure out, was my assumption correct that was done for this? Let's see if we can get the history button to show up here as first one. Don't know why it's taking so long to load. So now we can see the page history. If I now add mlsm0. Oh yeah, this is what Kushal was trying to fix. This doesn't work. So this was what he was wanting to make happen, but because we don't know whether the history button is the first one, this is the unwanted behavior. And I'm going to add this. I'm actually going to add this to a table. Just making sure I copied the right. Did something wrong here. Yeah, log. Okay, then we can add history. Gonna act as if I didn't make that change, so that we can see the actual difference here. So removing this will create a worse situation for this case, but it will fix the other problem, and it will push us to make a more systematic, or to take a more systematic approach to changing the left margin here, which is necessary and needed. So even though I know this is gonna not be the perfect final solution, I'm gonna submit this now, and maybe we can together create a better solution that fixes all problems as part of this MR, or we're gonna do that as follow-up MR. So I'm gonna comment for now. And that's it. So I'm gonna wait what Kushal responds. It's very late for him, so I hope he's just gonna respond tomorrow and not today. After that, we'll have to wait for the entire pipeline to finish, and depending on what his response will be, we will then either ping Amar or Natalia, and that's it.